Javy Báez, a 3-run homer.
What a play by Ryne Sandberg.
Hey, Javy.
What's up, Ryan?
Hey, good to see you. How you doing?
Pretty good, staying warm.
You know, Javy, as a hitter, my approach all the way through spring training and my training, my eyes, and where I wanted the bat to hit the ball and the hand-eye coordination, I tried to focus on the top half of the baseball because with my swing, hands above the ball, downward swing, and focusing on the top half of the baseball, I was able to connect on the fastball. And then at that point, I could work down with the bat if it was a breaking pitch. And my goal going to home plate was to square the ball up. Resulted in line drives in the gap. If I was a little bit under it, it might get out of the ballpark. But with that strategy, my goal was to hit for a high average, be on base, hit the good pitchers, and use the whole field.
You did it right, because obviously.
It worked for me.
Yeah. But yeah, I start trying to see the ball on top of it and inside of it because, you know, all the movement that I got on my swing and my approach is always, you know, to the gap right on top, at second base. Mm-hmm. And the fastball inside, if I can react to it and you know, naturally pull it, I will. But for me, it's to keep the same plan. You know, sometimes I get my pitch and I missed it and I change. And then
I've seen those moments where you
I
share that with everybody.
Yeah, and I get so mad because, you know,
Yeah.
I had my plan and then I change it and then what I had is what came to me. And, you know, my biggest thing is to keep my approach the whole at bat.
Pitch to Báez. Line! Cubs win!
Last year, I really saw you blossom as a guy to go the opposite field gap and then react on an inside pitch using the whole field. If I'm a pitcher out there, I wouldn't know how to pitch you in that situation, and then that's right where you want to have that guy. And so I liked to focus on the right center gap and then react inside.
Right.
And now you're hitting the whole plate, you're covering all the pitches, and I thought you came a long way last year with that.
I realized that, you know, trying to see the ball better when the pitcher release the ball. You know, I got quick hands, so I decided just to let the ball get deep in the sun. And, you know, once I did it, I kind of started pulling the ball, you know, seeing the ball. And I realized that I had time to, you know, to let the ball get deep in the sun. I started hitting the ball, you know, to first base and to that little hole in between first and second. And I was hitting the ball hard, so I just kept my approach that way, and it went really good for me.
Yeah, with that approach, you can hit anybody. You can hit a slider guy away.
Yeah, hanging.
In a big moment, you can go the other way. If he hangs it a little bit, you can be out in front. You can pull it, and so I mean that's locked in.
Oh yeah.
The other part I've noticed about your game is you're so heads up with what the team needs and what baseball says in the game right now needs to happen, that you'll lay down a bunt and catch everybody by surprise. The Cubs, you guys are down a couple of runs, you need a base runner. I've seen you lay down the bunt. That's so heads up play and so team play that I have a lot of fun watching that.
You know, I grew up watching old-time baseball, and those little plays are being forgotten. You know, not many players are bunting, not many players are doing these little things, and you know that's that really gets you better. You know, if you pay attention to the game and see where is the ball and where is the players.
That's playing the game the right way. It's fun to watch, and you're one of the players that I don't like to go to the concession stand and get something to eat if you're coming up the back, because I want to see what you're thinking about, what you're going to do, because you do some things that catch you by surprise, and if you miss that, you miss something pretty special. Yeah. So I appreciate that about your play.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Cubs trail by 3. Báez drives one in the air to left field. It's back toward the wall. It's got a chance. Gone.
With all the scouting and analytics and information that you get as a player, the opposing pitcher, defense, all that, how does that help you prepare for the game, and how does that help your game?
Other videos and stuff from the other team, I kind of got it as my routine now. You know, when I start warming up before the game, I hit a couple balls in the cage, and you know I take a break, see the pitcher, how is the movement on the ball, what pitches he throws, and you know I warm up again, and I let everything go out there. I just try to see the ball and react to it, not think too much. But I think that routine before the game start is what gets you ready for the game.
Back in my day, we had some VHS tapes. They're about this big, and one camera on the side angle, you couldn't see anything. Sometimes I'd look at that and check my swing out, but also check and see what the pitcher had. And then after the game was over against that pitcher, I'd write that down on a little book, and then I'd remember it the next time that I'd face him, and that was my analytics. That's all we had to do. So
that's tough.
We had to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And we also did it as teammates, sitting around before a game or after a game with a Gary Matthews or Andre Dawson. We talk about, hey, tomorrow this guy's facing us. Remember what happened last month? Yeah, but a couple of guys I really had to bear down against, and it was a tough battle against. From the left-handed pitcher, be Steve Carlton. He had a fastball up and away that had big movement, about like this, up and away. Yeah. And then he had a slider that was in the strike zone and then out of the strike zone. He threw it about 90, 92.
Wow.
Hard to hit. And then the other guy from the right side, Nolan Ryan, throwing about 105 for 8 innings, and then a curveball. The curveball had to start right here to be a strike.
Right behind you.
And that was a strike.
That's crazy.
So those two guys were tough. Who do you have? Who do you have in today's game?
For me, I think the toughest one was Scherzer. I don't think I got a hit off him.
Well, he comes at you with all kinds of arms and elbows and shoes and everything.
You don't know what's coming. You really don't know what's coming.
I think he makes up. He makes up pitches at times,
he does.
doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He'll take something off. He'll make something up, and I think he'd be tough on the right end for me.
I think he plays with your mind. I think he's like me. He plays. He thinks he knows what I'm looking for, so he won't throw it, and then I switch, and then he throw it. Mm-hmm. But he's a great. I saw him in the All-Star game, and he came up to me, and he was a great guy, and he got my respect.
How about from the left side? Anybody from the left side that has some nasty change-ups going away, or?
I mean, Chapman, he's not a starter, but he throws so hard that if you try to create that power, he will beat you with that fastball.
And it's kind of all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't really zone on a place. A guy that's all over and his ball moving so much. He'd be tough.
Looper into center. A great catch by Sandberg. What a play by Ryne Sandberg.
I took a lot of pride in my defense. In a lot of ways, that kept me in the big leagues my rookie season. I started off as a third baseman for the first 5 months. I made all kinds of plays. It was freezing cold. The grass was this high at Wrigley Field. It was hard to hit. But I always was a guy that liked to go out there and play defense, use the glove. You're doing it for the team. You're doing it for the pitcher. You're keeping runs off the board. It's very important.
Every time I'm playing defense, right before the pitch, I think of everything I want. I want the ball, and I want to see if it's hit this way, if it's hit to the hole, if it's hit same.
So you expect the ball to be hit to you every pitch?
Yeah, I want to know how far I can go, how far is the outfield, and when I can call the ball for when we in between third baseman or shortstop or short and second. That communication on who's going forward and who's going behind it is really important. That was my biggest thing. It was knowing where I was at and where all my players were, so I can react to the ball and go to the ball 100% and know when to stop.
Sometimes the fans don't realize that. The same thing. Pitch by pitch, I'd check. If I'm playing second, pitch by pitch, I'd check and see where the first baseman's playing. Okay, now the count changes. Now he moves, I move.
Yeah.
Look behind me. Where's the right fielder now? What's the wind? How's the wind blowing right now?
Yeah.
It changes at Wrigley Field in different places. Every pitch. You all do it as a unit.
Yeah.
You guys communicate. I see you guys move, and you do more even before the pitch is thrown, and then you're ready, and now the count changes. Now you do it all over again.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of thinking, isn't it?
It is.
But it's fun. It's fun. But Wrigley, it's a special place. It always solved any hitting problems that I might have had on a road trip, maybe some bad lights on night games or whatever. But when I came back to Wrigley Field and played some day games, and Wrigley always fixed any slump that I was in.
For me, it was at Wrigley, I kind of had that pressure to do a little bit more. So I had to like kind of fight through myself to, you know, to keep the pressure down and.
Because it's your home crowd.
Yeah, I was
and
so excited
playing
to be
playing for Chicago,
Oh, yeah,
right? Playing for the whole city.
Being so excited in front of them, the other fans. It was for me. It was to control my emotions. Once I go out there to start warming up with you know, right before the game with whoever, I take 5-7 seconds to look around. Everything is packed. Everything is looking for you to do good.
Something,
Obviously,
yeah.
you know, back in the bleachers, I got many fans that go there every day, and you know, I started waving at them, and you know, they give me signs. So it's really grateful to be at Wrigley, man.
Hey, you want to know what I said in that rainy delay speech? Well, actually, it went something like. Make sure you subscribe to our channel.